Welcome to our Torah study on this week's portion of Scripture, which is called Naso, lift up or elevate. The Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, "Take a census of the sons of Gusham, also by their fathers' horses and by their clans." Last week in Parashah Bar Midbar, a census was taken of the Israelite men of draftable age. The Levites who were given the duty to serve in the sanctuary in the place of Israel, firstborn, were excluded. The title of this week's Parashah, Nason, means lift up or elevate. It was the term used to take a head court census of the children of Israel. In the Hebrew, it reads, lift up the heads, Nasan et Rosh. This week, the head court of the Israelites is completed with a census of the Levites who are between the age of 30 and 50. They are to be the work of transporting the Mishkan tabernacle. Besides discussing the duties of the Levites, this scripture portion also provides the law of the Naso or Nazarite and the Amorites, benediction, Barket Kanonim, more commonly known as the priestly blessing. When a man or a woman utters a Nazarite vow, he shall abstain from new and old wine, grape beverages, grapes, and raisins. A man or woman who vows to abstain from cutting their hair, touching a corpse, and eating grapes or grape products, including drinking wine, is called the Nazarite or the Nazar in Hebrew. The word comes from the root Gimel, Zayin, and Resh, which means to dedicate or separate oneself, as in keeping oneself separate from the grapes and wine. Another word from the same root, Nazar, which means crown, consecration, or separation. We can see the intersection of these ideas in Numbers 6, 7, and 8, which discusses the Nisar. It reads, they must not make themselves ceremonially unclean, because the symbol of the dedication, crown, Nisar, to God is on their head throughout the period of their dedication. They are consecrated, kadosh, holy, to the Lord. Through this vow, the layman's status was raised to something approaching to the status of the priest. This Levi of security is seen in that, like a high priest, the Nazarite could not contaminate him or herself by coming into contact with a corpse, even one of an immediate family member. As well, the Nazarite abstains from intoxicants, more um, uh, string, stringently than the priest, who abstains only during the term of the sanctuary. Moreover, the focus of sincerity for both the Nazarite and high priest is their head. Although most people are not to stay separate or aloof from society, but rather to bring holiness into the world in which we live, Nazarites are allowed to do so. Amos underlines the holiness of the Nazarites, connecting them to prophets. I set up prophets from your sons and Nazarites from your young men. Amos 2:11. The rabbis believe that in the Messianic era there will be no need for separation from worldly matters, since they will no longer navigately impact us. Instead, since all will abode in peace and beauty, and single-minded focus will be to know God, to love, serve, and worship Him forever. This will fulfill the holiness of the Nazarite's vow. Jewish people pray for the coming of the Messianic heir and God's salvation. In Hebrew, Yeshua, every day. They say in their daily prayers, every day and all day long, we hope for your salvation, or in the version of the 13 principles of the faith, they pray, I await his coming every day. In this parashah, God commands the Kohanim, Jewish high priest, descendants of Aaron, brother of Moshe, to impart a blessing called the Barkit Kohanim to the people of Israel through the following three-part benediction. The Lord bless you and guard you. The Lord make his face shine light, or shed light, upon you, and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his face unto you and give you peace. To impart this blessing, the priest lifts their hands with palms outstretched and facing downward, while the scepter communicates today simply raise their hands above their heads and separate their fingers with their arms outstretched. Ashkenazi communities see the hands of the Kohanim forming windows through which the blessing flows, as explained in the Midrash, Jewish commentary. The Midrash compares this stance with a passage in a Song of Songs, which suggests that God's Shekinah, divine presence, stands behind the Kohanim, who blessed the people. Therefore, the priests spread their palms to say that the Holy One stands behind us. And so it is written, there he stands behind our wall, glazing through the window, peering through the lattice. Song of Songs 2:9. Glazing through the window through the fingers of the priests, peering through the lattice when they spread their palms. Therefore, they say, thus shall you bless them. The difference between prayers and blessings. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. The rabbis make a distinction between blessing and prayer. The blessing of the tzedek, righteousness, mar, imparts to us whatever God has intended for our life. For example, when Jacob blessed his grandchildren, Menashe and Ephraim, Jacob crossed his hands to give the greater blessing to Ephraim rather than Menashe. This was not his personal decision. He was being guided by Adonai to give the blessing he intended for these particular tribes. Prayer, however, can also change circumstance for the better. It can cause a sick person to recover, a single person to find their bashit or chosen match, and a person plagued by poverty to have their needs met. The Barket, Kohanim, however, acts as both blessing and prayer. The Kohanim bless us with God's peace, protection, favor, grace, but as a prayer, it can also change our circumstances for the better. Pronouncing the blessing today. And he took the children in his arms, placed his hands on them, and blessed them. Mark 10:16. Because their language has been preserved over thousands of years, the Kohanim still stands up to bless the people in the synagogue and Jewish community all over the world. In Israel, the Western Wall Plaza is packed with people who come at special festival times to receive the Aaronic benediction from the Kohanim in Jerusalem. Although the blessing comes through the raised hands of the Kohanim, God makes it clear it is his blessing being transmitted through the priest as his chosen vessel. God said, so they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Not only did God place his name on the hands of the Kohanim, he also engraved the name of the children of Israel on the palms of his hands. The blessing continues to be recited today in Jewish families. In the Brit Kadashah, New Covenant, we see that blessings are also imparted through hands. Believers in Yeshua also have the power to bless and even heal by the laying on hands. They will be able to handle snakes with safety, and if they drink anything poisonous, it won't hurt them. They will be able to place their hands on the sick and they will be healed. Mark 16-18. Many Messianic congregations pronounce the Barket Kohanim blessing those assembled in their service. Oftenly, the Barket Kohanim is about experiencing intimacy with God. May our lives be in living testimony of His intensity, of a people with holy hands and sanctified hearts and heads who carry with them the presence of God of Israel. The Lord their God will save His people on that day as a shepherd saves his flock. They will sparkle in His land like jewels in a crown. Zechariah 9:16. Shabbat Shalom.